begin worship, let's begin with prayer. Let's stand in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for who you are. We thank you that we can come and worship you, a God who loves us, a God who cares for us, a God who protects us, a God who makes us your children. We ask that you would bless our time in worship this morning, that we would simply be focused on Jesus and who he is and how he lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Make our beginning in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. You can have a seat. Well, we're in a sermon series on hope. And I'm not starting the sermon right now, so don't get excited. We're looking at how hope informs the way we live our lives now. And if I look at my life, and I'm assuming that if you look at your life, hope is not always your motivation. Our hope of new creation, our hope in Jesus Christ is not always the motivation for how we live our lives. And that's called sin. And because we're sinful people, we need a Savior. And that's what Jesus is. So we can go to him and we can confess our sins. That we can confess when we messed up, when we weren't living the way we should have lived, when we weren't living with the right motivation, with the right end in mind, with the right hope, our hope in the right place. And we can receive then the forgiveness that is offered to us in Jesus Christ in his death and resurrection. So I invite you now to kneel as we confess our sins to God our Father. Heavenly Father, we have sinned against you and against our neighbor. We have put our hope in the wrong people, the wrong places, the wrong things. We have now lived with our hope of a new creation in mind. We have lived selfishly. We have lived against your will. Father, for the sake of your Son, Jesus Christ, have mercy on us. Forgive us, renew us, and lead us, so that we may delight in your will and walk in your ways to the glory of your holy name. Amen. Because Jesus' death and resurrection, because of the hope that we have, I get to say to you this morning that your sins and mine are forgiven in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. We're going to continue with our readings.
Reading is from Genesis chapter 1, verses 26 through 31. The readings this morning, I think, are foundational. We learned that we are made in the image of God. We are not like a materialistic, just an animal with extra function. God made us very special. And we're going to read in Philippians what God is like and how special So let's read from Genesis chapter 1, 26 to 31. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. And then God said, I give every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds of the sky, and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has a breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. And it was so. God saw that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Philippians 2, 1 through 18. Therefore, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any common sharing in the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and of one mind, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, rather in humility value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interest of the others. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who being the very nature of God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he gave himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself by coming obedient to death, even death on a cross. Therefore, God exalted him to the highest place, and gave him the name that is above every name, that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow, in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue acknowledge that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. We'll also read a gospel lesson from Matthew 25, 14 and 30. Again, they'll be like a man going on a journey, and called his servants, and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. And then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. The man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things, and I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold also came. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things, I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you were a hard man, harvesting where you had not sown, and gathering where you had not scattered seed. So I was afraid, and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. His master replied, you wicked and lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown, and gather where I have not scattered seed? Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him, and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have, will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, mention to the God bless the Kings.
That's it. Please pray for me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your word. We thank you that we can return to it time and time again. We thank you for the stories of your love that you have for us. I ask now that you would remove all distractions from our hearts and our minds, that we would simply be focused on Jesus and who he is and how he loves. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, so we are in a sermon series on hope in the book of Philippians. Last week we talked about how hope informs the present. That what our hope is in changes the way we live now. So as Christians, our hope is in the new creation. That we'll live in this perfect world, this world with perfect peace, without shame, without guilt, without disease, without pandemics, without face masks, without all these things. That is our hope as Christians. That's where this all ends up. Because of Jesus' death and resurrection on the cross. That's our hope, which changes the way we live now. We talked about how there's a difference between hope and wishful thinking. That Paul, his hope is to exalt Christ, so he works for that in the present. For us, our hope is in creation, so we work for that in the present. So this morning, we're going to talk about how hope informs our work. Our hope informs our work. And when I say work, I don't just mean our jobs or our careers. I mean like our vocation, our calling, the work that God has given us to do in the world. Right? So your vocation might be to be a plumber, but it also might be to be a son or a daughter or a father or a mother or a parent or a grandparent or a spouse or a neighbor. Our vocations are all the things that God has called us into to further his purposes. Okay? Now I have already messed up. Our reading, I gave Tammy the wrong reading. It was supposed to include verses 12 through 18, so I'm going to read that now. Okay, so keeping in mind what David read earlier, that the famous passage about how Christ, who is God, became nothing and served us. So then this is what Paul says. Therefore, my dear friends, as you have always obeyed, not only in my presence, but now much more in my absence, continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who works in you, to will and to act, in order to fulfill his good purpose. Do everything without grumbling or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a warped and crooked generation. Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky as you hold firmly to the word of life. And then I will be able to boast on the day of Christ that I did not run or labor in vain. But even if I am being poured out like a drink offering on your sacrifice, and service coming from your faith, I am glad and rejoice with you, all of you. You too should be glad and rejoice with me. Okay, so what Paul says here, he says in verse 13, for it is God who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill his good purpose. So God's purpose is this new creation. And so what Paul is saying is that God is working in and through us towards that purpose. So our hope of this new creation, that is God's purpose, is now how we work now. It changes how we work now. It informs how we work now. Which means three things for us. It means that work is not a curse. Work is not a curse, but it has been a curse. It means that all vocations are equal. And it means that we have purpose and meaning in our work, in our vocations. So work is not a curse, although it may feel like it some days. I mean, not for me, obviously. But so when God created Adam and Eve, He put them in the garden. He gave them work there. He said, be fruitful and multiply. In other words, He gave them the vocation of being parents. When He put them together, He gave them the vocation of being a spouse. And then He told them to continue this work in the garden, work the land, bring forth Christ. So He gave them the vocation of being gardeners. Work is in creation before the fall. Adam and Eve were created for work. You and I are created for work. Now, having said that, work then was cursed. In Genesis 3, after the fall, God curses work. He curses the vocations. He says to Eve, your vocation is to be a mother to all the living. But now, it's going to be painful. Now you're going to bring forth children in pain. He says to Adam, your vocation is to be a gardener. But now the ground is going to have thorns, and by the sweat of your brow you're going to bring forth fruit. See, the work is still good. But now it's hard. Now it's painful. Now it costs. I'm pretty sure we've all had those days where we get home from work and we're just dog tired. All you want to do is sit down on the couch for a little bit and forget what happened that day. Or you had a long day with the kids and they're finally in bed, and you sit down and you look down and you look at your spouse across the table and say, when do they move out? That is the curse. That is work now being a burden. That is now our work gone a little rotten, a little thorny, a little thistly. But then my hope is that you've also had those days where you get home from work or you put the kids in bed and you get done serving in whatever way God's giving you to serve, and it is energizing for you. It's life-giving, it's exciting, and you want to go back the next day. You want to keep doing it over and over and over again. That's a glimpse as to what work will be like in the new creation. That's a glimpse as to what work was supposed to be like. So the first thing we have to understand, if our hope informs our work, is that work in and of itself is not a bad thing. That you were created to work. That I was created to work. That God works through us to fulfill His purposes. If all of our work, if all of these vocations that God has given us are working towards a new creation, working towards our hope, that means that all of our vocations are equal. One vocation is not better than the other one. A doctor is not more important than a mother caring for her children. And the mother caring for her children is not more important than the person who goes down and volunteers at the homeless shelter. Because God is looking through all of these things. Now, we might be more thankful for some vocations at times. But that does not mean that one is less important than the other. When Oscar was born, he was in the hospital, as many of you know, and he was put on ECMO, which stands for something, I'm sure, but I don't know what it stands for. But what it is it's a machine that pumps the blood out of the body, oxygenates it, and pumps it back in. So essentially, he was operating as his heart in his lungs for a couple days. And it's an incredible thing. Because of this machine, Oscar was the only one in his room. Because it took so many people to work. And it was just this amazing thing to think about how someone figured out that you can take blood out of a person, oxygenate it, and then put it back in. It's just incredible. And one of the gifts that God gave us in that time was to continuously be in wonder at how He has provided. Think about this. There's a guy, or gal, I don't know, who invented this machine, who figured out that you can oxygenate blood. But that only happens because someone figured out how to make plastic. So and then that person, then maybe someone else figured out that I can take this plastic and make it into tubes and funnel things through them. Then someone figured out how to refine metal. Then someone figured out that you can take that metal and make it into a hollow needle that can be used to take blood. Then someone figured out that you can sew things if you can create thread. Then someone else figured out that you can use that thread in medicine. And so my initial reaction to this experience is that I'm so thankful that this guy invented this thing. But as we went through this process, I'm so thankful that someone invented thread. Each and every vocation is just as important as the last. Because if someone doesn't invent thread, or plastic, or learn how to refine metal, or someone doesn't have the desire to go to nursing school to learn how to run a machine, or a doctor doesn't have the desire to do these things, the gifts to do these things, none of this stuff happens. This is how your vocation is in the world. Each and every vocation is reliant on each and every vocation. Think about all the vocations it took to get you here this morning. I'm assuming many of you drove. Someone came up with that. I'm assuming that when you drove on a road. Someone came up with that. Someone came up with a structure. All of these things, every single day, are reliant on each other. Now this is, if you think about it too much, which I may have done, this is a lot of pressure. This is a lot of pressure. Because everyone in the world is reliant on you doing your vocation. Sonia, my wife, used to call trivia at Common House Aleworths in Park Circle. And I would go, and they had t-shirts and stuff, and one of the t-shirts was hanging up, and it had a lot of writing on it. And so I was like, no one puts a lot of writing on a t-shirt, so I'm going to read what it is. And this is what it said. Good beer equals a good world. And then the rest of the writing was that, because good beer allows us to have good conversations. Good conversations lead to good relationships. Good relationships lead to good communities. Good communities lead to good cities. Good cities lead to good states. Good states lead to good nations. Good nations lead to a good world. Therefore, good beer equals good world. Which is true. Your vocation, whatever it is, leads to a good world. Right? So if you're a Scripture. Your vocation is to teach students how to use their gifts and abilities that God has given them. If you don't do that, then those students won't figure it out. And so then they're not going to be productive members of society. If you're a student and you don't do your vocation, then you're not going to be productive members of society. So we are all dependent on you getting good grades. Not necessarily good grades, but learning how to use the gifts and abilities that God has given you. All of our vocations lead us towards this hope that we have in Jesus. Lead us towards this new creation. Because God is working through us to fulfill His purposes in our lives. Which gives our work significant meaning. It gives our vocation significant meaning. I don't know about you, but I'm one of those people that has to know why I'm doing something if I'm going to do it well. And in high school, I decided that I wanted to be a pastor, which means I don't need to know how to do physics. Which did not lead to good grades in physics. Because it meant nothing. There's no reason for me to learn physics. Which is not the best attitude to have in school. But thankfully, I said I out of He was very helpful. Meaning is important. It's important to know why we do something. It's important to know the end goal. It's important to know how it affects the world, right? When in Ecclesiastes, the writer of Ecclesiastes says everything is meaningless, and it's just so depressing. But our hope of this new creation gives us meaning in our vocations. See, we're working towards this hope, as we talked about last week. We're working towards this hope. And what Paul is saying is that God is working towards this purpose through you. Which means that the meaning that is in your vocation, the purpose that is in your vocation, is the same meaning and purpose that God has for you and for the world. Which is pretty significant. If God has a purpose for giving you the gifts He has given you, for giving you the talents that He has given you. And Paul says later on, do everything without grumbling or argument, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a warped and crooked generation. Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky as you hold firmly to the word of life. We can't do that unless we understand these other things. Until we understand that our work is good. That is a good thing that God has given us. That God is working through us in our work. That all of our work is just as valuable as the next person's. That our work is furthering the purposes of God, is furthering the kingdom of God. We're not going to shine like stars until we understand that. But we're not going to understand that until we understand how God has worked in our lives. See, Paul, he says in verse 1, therefore, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from His love, if any common sharing in the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete, by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and one in mind. See, what Paul is saying is, work out these gifts that God has given you. God is working in you to fulfill His purposes. Do it without grumbling, so that you can be a shining star. He doesn't say, do it so that we can finally get to this goal, as if human species is on this progress, this march towards progress, and will eventually get to perfection. He doesn't say do it because or else. He says, if you have any love, because that Christ loves you. If you have any kindness, because Christ has shown you kindness. See, it's the gospel that allows us to work in hope. It's the gospel that allows us to live out our faith towards that hope. It is because Christ has redeemed our work. When He redeemed you on the cross, He redeemed your work. When He acted out His hope with Jesus' death and resurrection, He made it so that it's going to happen. Right? Because with God, a promise made is a promise kept. And so we're working towards this hope because God has made it so that this hope is going to come true through Jesus' death and His resurrection. So when you're working, when you're fulfilling your vocation, when you're struggling, when you feel like you're alone in your vocation, when you feel like you can't do any more than you can do, when you feel like you're not good enough, God is there working with you. God is there working towards these purposes with you. Because His hope is our hope. A new creation. Eternity with you. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this hope that we have in Jesus. We thank you for the hope of a new creation. We ask that you would work this hope into our hearts and our minds, that we would know how much you love us and how much you have loved us in Jesus. We ask that you would continue to allow us to work in the knowledge of this hope. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Please stand. The Lord be with you. Lift up your hearts. Let us give thanks to the Lord our God. Our Lord Jesus Christ, on the night when He was betrayed, took bread. When He had given thanks, He broke it. And He gave it to the disciples, saying, "Take and eat. This is my body, which is given for you." The same way also after supper He took the cup. Having given thanks, He gave it to them, saying, "Drink of it all. This cup is a new covenant in my blood, which is shed for you for the forgiveness of all your sins. This do as often as you drink it, in remembrance of me." As often as we eat this bread and we drink this cup, we proclaim the Lord's death until He comes again. Please be seated. Remind you what we as Lutherans believe about the Lord's Supper. We believe that this truly is the body and blood of Jesus Christ. That He is present in this, uniting us in His death and His resurrection. If you're wondering whether or not you should come up and receive communion, ask yourself these questions. Do you believe in Jesus as your Lord and Savior? Do you believe that you are a sinner in need of forgiveness? And do you believe that this truly is the body and blood of Jesus Christ? If you can answer yes to those questions, then please come up and receive the forgiveness that is offered to us in this gift. Welcome to the Lord's table.
you the true faith until life everlasting. Let's pray to the Lord. seated for our time of prayer. Dearest Jesus, you have opened your heart wide open to us. Made yourself completely vulnerable, completely weak, giving yourself entirely. And now we come and we worship and we struggle to open our own hearts. We struggle against our own weaknesses. We see our sins. We shrink from you, and yet we are drawn to you, Lord, because you are the one who saves. You're the one who redeems and restores. Father, we want to be close. Speak to us, Lord, into our hearts, into our being, into our longing. Lord, as we struggle in this world, we think about all that stuff around us that is happening. Souls that are lost, and hungry, and thirsty, and don't even know what they're hungering for. Father, we pray for your peace to invade this world, for your Spirit to be at work. Father, that you be in work in each of us. Part of our vocation, Lord, is to love as you love, to love one another above all, to love one another, love your enemies, you said. Father, make your ways not only clear to us, but deep inside of us so that they pour out in the things we say and the things we do. We pray for your help, for your presence, Lord. Father, we also bring before you those in our congregation that have specific needs. We think, Lord, of Mary Teston, who has problems with her adrenal glands and parathyroid. And Father, we just ask for your mercy and grace in her life. Father, that you would bring healing to her body, you would sustain her days and her wealth, her health. We pray for Andiel, Lord, who has trouble putting weight on her ankle, or she's about to go for an MRI. Father, we pray that you would give her strength in that ankle, that you restore, that you would bless her, Lord. Father, I pray for the Bartimaeus ministry, all those that are seeking and missing out from not being able to meet. There's a hunger for friendship, compassion, relationship, Lord, that is not being met. Father, I pray for your peace in their lives. Father, that you would meet them in their time of need. Father, that you would find a way for them to celebrate the life you've given them, to enjoy the comfort of friendship, fellowship. Father, we ask your blessing on those. I pray for Mary Maraska. We've got a pacemaker put in. Father, I pray that this will resolve her issues in her heart. Father, I pray for her own well-being, for good health, for good life. Father, we just ask your blessing on her. Cover her, Lord, with your grace and mercy and peace. We pray for Glenn Phelps' brother, Dick. Father, there's a difficult time there as he is losing control of some of his facilities. Father, it's very hard. So we pray, Lord, for your intervention. We pray, Lord, for strength for those that are around to help and to serve. Pray for Glenn and Pam. Father, that your work will be done, that you will be glorified. Father, we pray and ask your mercy to be shown. We pray for Katie and Justin, who are about to close on the house that will go smoothly. Father, you've found them work and a place to live. We thank you, Lord, for that blessing, for that success. Things in life that you give us that are here to enjoy. We remember those, Lord, and know that they come from your hand. We pray for Will Alford's and bad cough. We pray for Pam Phelps, who's sprained her wrist. Father, pray, Lord, for those of our members, Bill Batter and Joe Martin and Richard Hunter, that work on the front lines in the health field, that encounter many things, including COVID-19 virus. Father, for their safety and protection, we thank you, Lord, for their service. We pray your mercy will cover them. We pray for Donna Flickinger, his nephew Matthew has multiple disabilities and is working the public. Father, we pray you would strengthen him, encourage him, bless him with your presence. We pray for Jeanette Scott, the Jackson family, George, Nebraska, Lynette White, the Messics, Johanssons, Mayfield, Sister Alice, Ben Harding's Father Stan. Father, for those that are in need, we look to you. We seek your face, we seek your help, we seek your presence and encouragement and comfort. We thank you, Lord, that you are our healer, you are our redeemer, and you are faithful each and every day. You have good things for your people. So, Father, we close this prayer knowing that you are faithful and good. You are our Father, our rescuer. We bless you.